top of the morning to everyone. As you look out behind me, you see an empty auditorium. On Sundays, that's not the way that it is. It's filled up, and we have our Sunday evening Bible studies at 5 o'clock and then our Wednesday evening Bible studies at 7 o'clock. And there are people in these pews. But if I can take this scene for just a moment, unfortunately, this is the way it is for a lot of people, because after COVID, there were some people who never came back to in-person assemblies. And so on this edition of Monday Matters, I wanted to take just a moment to describe to you how essential the assembly is for the congregation that meets at each of the places that you might be thinking of right now, a local congregation that you are a part of. As we think about the text in Hebrews chapter 10 and verses 24 and 25, it says, "And let us consider how to stimulate one another to love and good deeds, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." There are three things that I have pointed out before from this text that are so vital that you cannot get if you choose to remain at home and watch online. Number one, you're not able to consider one another. There is careful consideration that comes into being with the brethren here in this place. And when you can be able to be here, to participate together, to be in fellowship together, if you're at home watching on a screen, you're not able to consider one another, as the writer of Hebrews mentions in that text. You're also not able to stimulate one another to love and good deeds. You can't do that from watching on a screen at home. So you can't consider one another, you can't stimulate one another. And then the last thing that I'll point out, when we're able to assemble here with the saints, if we're not here in person, we can't encourage one another. And so as you think about the importance of that text with the importance of the assembly and how we don't need to forsake the assembling of ourselves together, we know that is the habit of some. And let me challenge you today, if you are still remaining at home and watching on a screen, while that can be beneficial if you are sick at home on occasions and you can't be with the saints, or you've got some type of bug that you don't want to, you feel you might be contagious, you don't want to pass that around, or if you're coughing all the time, but that's going to be very sporadic. If you are at home and you stayed that way full time and are not getting back out with the assembly, let me encourage you to look back at this text in Hebrews chapter 10 and verses 24 and 25 so that you can understand what you are not able to do. I had a sermon a few years ago and I titled it, "What Happens When You Miss Church?" Well, I just laid out the points that I gave in that sermon. And so let me challenge all of you to make sure to look back at that text and to realize how important it is to assemble with the saints. That is today's edition of Monday Matters. God bless all of you.